Hey, this is Simon from the Light Rider app development team, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know to get started with Light Rider. So, Light Rider is an app to control DMX lights. It's available for iPad and Android tablets, and it can be used for any lighting fixture as long as it's DMX compatible. Now, the whole concept of Light Rider is that you don't have to do any programming. There are no scenes or steps or palettes or any complicated setup stuff like that. It's basically plug and play. You add your lights and then you play with the app. You trigger some move effects, you trigger some color effects, we've got some flash buttons in the middle, and we've got some custom presets along the bottom. Now, a lot of people might think that this is very limiting, but this is just an example of something I was creating last night. This is for a party I'm throwing this weekend. So here we've got, I think, like 15 or 20 scanners, a couple of moving heads, and we've got 8 LED bars as well. And these are just some presets I set up last night. And everything you see here has been generated automatically. So there have been no scenes, no steps. I've literally just chosen the lights. I've set the DMX addresses. I've set the order in which the lights appear, and then I've just triggered some move effects and some color effects, and I've saved them into some presets along the bottom. This took literally about 20 minutes, and I've got a full setup now that I can use for future events. So this kind of shows you what's possible with Light Rider. And you know, on a traditional desk or traditional software, it could take hours and hours to set up. So once you've downloaded Light Rider from the App Store, Google Play Store or Amazon App Store, you'll be presented with a screen that looks something like this. And it says create your Light Cloud account. Now, a Light Cloud account allows you to synchronize things between different tablets. At the time of recording this tutorial, it's brand new Light Cloud. So there aren't a lot of features at the moment, but there's a lot of new stuff to come throughout the next year or so. So at the moment, you can synchronize your own fixture profiles. So for example, imagine you want to create your own LED bar because perhaps it's not in the library or it's not working the way you want it to work. You can download our Profile Builder app. You can set up your various different channels, and once you've added that, you can use it on all your different tablets because it will synchronize via your Light Cloud account. And another thing you can use your Light Cloud account for is if you've made an ArtNet in-app purchase on iPad. I'll go into more detail about this later, but basically the license for the ArtNet is synchronized between your various Light Cloud accounts. So as long as you're logged in to the iPad with the same Apple ID and the same Light Cloud account, you can use the same ArtNet license on more than one iPad. Next year, we're also going to add the possibility to synchronize projects and other settings. So, I would really recommend creating a Light Cloud account for now. If you don't want to, you can always tap Login Later just at the bottom. But for now, I'm going to log in with my Light Cloud account. So I'm going to press Already Have an Account. Login. So once you've logged in, or you've tapped the button to log in later, you'll be presented with the live screen. This is where all the controls done. And what I'm going to do first is tap the menu just in the top left here. And here it lists all our DMX interfaces and all our projects. So the DMX interface is basically the device which allows you to connect your iPad or Android tablet to your lights. We need to convert the Wi-Fi signal from your tablet to a DMX signal, normally sent over an XLR cable, to your DMX lights. So we've got a box for this, and it's called the LR512. That's a Light Rider 512. And it's a box with a Wi-Fi chip inside, which converts the Wi-Fi to DMX, which you can connect to your lights. And this is really the easiest way to access Light Rider. All you have to do is plug it into a USB phone charger, connect to it. So you connect to it with your Wi-Fi settings, and then it should appear in the list here, and you just tap it to connect to it. It's as simple as that. Just ignore the 6M, by the way, that you see in the list here. This is just because I'm using a development version. There are some other ways to access Light Rider. It's a little bit more complicated, But if you've got an ArtNet device, you can use that, but you do need to make the in-app purchase, which you can do by tapping Settings, and then you can tap Buy ArtNet at the bottom. If you've got an Android tablet, you can also access DMX over USB, but for this to work, you need what we call a SUT device. So this is a Smart Upgrade Technology DMX device. And you can go over to our website and we list all the compatible SUT devices that work with LightRider. And what you need to do is take an OTG cable, that's an on-the-go cable, and that converts your USB-C or micro USB socket on your tablet to a USB socket that you can then connect your SUT compatible DMX interface to. After that, you then have to go to dmxsoft.com, and here you can actually buy the LightRider license, which is stored on the controller itself. So once you've bought the LightRider license, you can then use that controller with any tablet, because the license isn't stored on the tablet, it's stored on the hardware. But again, the easiest way to use LightRider is to just take the LR512, there are no extra purchases, you plug it in, you connect to it, and then you start controlling your lights. Okay, so I think it's time to start adding some lights and building a show. So I'm going to go down here to where it says create a project, and I'm going to create a new project. I'll call this project tutorial. And here I have the option to keep the fixtures and presets from the currently opened show. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to switch these off. And I'm going to tap this button here to create the new project. After that, I'm going to tap Fixtures, and this is going to open the Fixtures screen, and this is where we set up all our lights. So you've probably noticed the 3D visualizer here on the right. A lot of people ask me how to set up the 3D visualizer. So I'm actually using this 3D visualizer with Dazzlight 4, as you can see in the bottom right here where it says controlled by Dazzlight 4. So I've got the LightRider coming out of my tablet to our LR512 device, and then connected from that to a Dazzlight 4 device. That runs through the Dazzlight 4 software and into the 3D visualizer. It's quite a complicated setup, but normally with LightRider you don't need a 3D visualizer because it's so quick to actually set up. But it's useful just when I'm doing these video tutorials. So in my setup here, I've got some LED bars, and these are called X bricks. So I'm going to add these 4 LED bars, and this is done just at the bottom here. So you see where it says brand, I'm going to select Stairville. I can search for the brand up here. And the lights I'm using are called X brick. X brick. Here it is at the top. And some lights have more than one operating mode. So if I tap the mode button here, you see we've got 5 channel and 13 channel. So I'm going to select 13 channel. Then I'm going to tap this button to add the light. And you see, as soon as I add the light starts responding straight away. And you can see these levels going up and down here, and this is the actual data that LightRider's generating. Down here you can see where it says start, there's the number 1. That means the light's at DMX address 1, and you always need to make sure that the number on the light matches the number you see here in this box. This is normally set with a digital display, but some lights have what we call dip switches, which is what this graphic is over on the right here. Now sometimes you might not find your light. We do have 15,000 profiles, but we don't always have all the lights, so we do offer a free service which you can request from our website. So you can go on our website, you can tap the link to make an SSL request, and then you can put the information about your light, a copy of the user manual, and we'll try and make that as quickly as possible. We do get several requests every day though, and sometimes there is a little bit of a backlog. So what we've also got is a new app called Profile Builder, and this allows you to create your fixture profile yourself. It might take a little bit of time. It all depends on the complexity of the light. But if you just search the App Store and Google Play for Profile Builder, you can log in with the same LightCloud account, you can set up your channels, and then as soon as you come back to LightRider, it will be available at the bottom here. So I've got 4 X bricks, so I'm going to tap this add a fixture 3 more times. 1, 2, 3. There we go. After that, I've got a couple of moving heads. These are by American DJ. So I'm going to search for American DJ, and the light is called Inno Color Beam Z7. So if I search for Z7, here it is, and I can add 2 of these. 1, 2. And then finally, I've got 4 scanners. These are also from Stareville. STAI. There we go. And these are called SCX50. And again, I'm using these in 11 channel mode. So there are 4 of these lights. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to go to the live screen now. And I'm just going to show you a couple of things. So on the right here, we've got the color effects. So at the moment, I'm playing a rainbow. We've got disco. We've got alternate jump, sparkle, stop, a couple of symmetrical effects, and Light Rider. In the middle here, we can change the effects. So for example, I could speed up this effect, slow the effect down. I can remove the fade from the effect, so it jumps instead of fades. And this is my favorite one, shift. This adds a little delay on each light. So if I add a little bit of shift here, you see it starts to play a wave. And the more shift I add, the more random the effect gets. So if I put the shift all the way to the top, you can create some great looking effects here. This one's called size. It's not available with this effect. So for example, if I go to the Light Rider effect, I can make the size small like this, and I can make the size big like this. I'm going to keep it small like that a second, and I'm just going to slow it down a little bit. Okay, now you may have noticed the effect, it plays on the X bricks, but then it plays on the moving heads after the X bricks, so it's not actually being generated in the right order. If you watch here, it starts on the left, it goes on the right, and then it does the 2 moving heads last. Now I don't want it to do that, I want it to do the 2 moving heads in the middle of the effect, so it's all in the correct order. So to do this, I actually need to rearrange the order of the lights. So I'm going to go back over to fixtures. I'm going to take this Inno Color Beam Z7 and I'm going to move it here, and then I'm going to move the other one here. So now when you look at the effect, the moving heads now light up in the correct order. You may have also noticed that the scanners are fixed in white, they're not playing the colour effect. I'll show you why if I go back to live. So these scanners, they don't do colour mixing, they don't have RGB channels. Instead they have a fixed colour wheel, so they can only do one colour at a time. So when you've got a light with a fixed colour wheel, you get these segments around the outside. So for example, if I tap blue, the lights are now white and blue. Or I can tap red, and the lights are now white, blue and red. And that overrides the colour effects. If you want the lights to be included in the colour effects, just turn off all the segments, and now the lights will be included in the effect. But as you see, the colour wheels often spin a lot and it doesn't always create a great effect. So that's why we added the possibility to override the colours with these colour segments at the top. So I'm just going to keep these in white for now. Okay, another thing we need to do is to order these scanners in the correct order as well. So again, I'm going to go to fixtures and I'm going to take these 4 scanners at the bottom and I'm going to put them in the middle. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's go back to live. If I turn off the white segment to include them in the effect, you see now they're in the correct order. Now these scanners don't have a black colour, which is why they're white when the lights are off. If we trigger the disco effect, you can see also they change colour with the other lights. Okay, so that's a brief overview of the colour effects. Now if we head over to the move effects, I'm just going to put these scanners in white again. Put a rainbow on. There we go. Okay, so with the move effects on the left, we've got, for example, a circle, got a tilt effect, we've got a pan effect. This one's called swim, one of my favourites. This one's called float. It's like a rubber ducky floating. We've got some unique icons here. This is sweep, sweeps to different positions. This is random, it does random positions. And this one's center. Now you may have noticed that the moving heads aren't actually following the scanners, they're kind of flying all over the place. For example, if I trigger the circle effect here, the moving heads are kind of pointing against the back wall, which is a little bit annoying. We want them to move with the scanners. And something else you might notice here is, for example, if I show you the tilt effect, let me just remove shift so they're playing together. Okay, you see the scanners are actually moving up when the moving heads are moving down, and the moving heads are moving up when the scanners are moving down. And that's because the moving heads are hung upside down. So what we need to do is we need to invert the tilt of the moving heads, and we also need to stop them pointing against this back wall. And to do this, we go back into the fixtures screen. We select the moving head here. And in fact, if we tap this button here, this is the fixture group button, and this will allow us to select all the moving heads at once. So now if I click here, both the moving heads are selected. Okay, so now if I tap this button in the top right, this is the calibration button, and this is a really useful feature. I can tap the bottom here, and what I can do is invert the tilt like this. So now if you watch the tilt effect, you see, now all the lights are moving together. But you can still see the moving heads are kind of pointing against the back wall, which is a bit annoying. So if I tap this bottom square, and if I drag this up, so all the lights are pointing on the floor. There we go, now all the lights are moving together. And I should also do this with left and right. So if I tap the left, I can bring the moving heads around like this. And if I tap the right, I can bring the moving heads around like this. There we go, now I've got the perfect effect. And if I go over to the live screen again, if I trigger a circle, you can see now all the lights are doing the circle together. If I tick the center, all the lights are in the center. I can make a fan as well. Fan the lights outwards and inwards. And that's about it. We've got some flash effects in the middle. So for example, we've got a blinder, got a wow effect, blackout. You can actually latch these buttons, by the way. If you touch them and slide, they light up orange, and that means they're latched on. And then to disable them, you just tap them again. We can select some gobos here. We can rotate the gobo by dragging around the dial like this. We've got a prism here. I'll just stop this gobo rotation. Got prism rotation. So you see it's very easy to quickly create something that looks professional. We've also got some buttons on the top here which allow you to synchronize with the music. So for example, imagine I want this rainbow to synchronize with the music. I tap this clock here and then I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's synchronizing with the tap BPM. I can also synchronize with the microphone. So this is the input to the tablet. To do that, I tap this button again and it turns into a microphone. So now each time it hears a loud sound, the color will change as well. And the final little feature, if you tap this subs button in the top right, this shows a fader for each light. And you can turn the lights up and down like so. Finally, we've got some presets along the bottom here. If I tap the presets, Light Rider will trigger some effects that have been pre-made. And you can actually overwrite these effects by touching and holding the effect. This will allow you to give it a name and it will store everything that you've set. So that's all the basics of Light Rider, and in the next tutorial, Mastering Light Rider, we're going to go and show you some of the more exciting features that we've got.